Hello everyone, it's time for yet another Batman miniature game battle report, and thank you for the support you've shown on them so far. It helps encourage more in the future. Today we've got 350 rep of the Joker crew versus a Brave and the Bold crew, featuring some of the new releases for the Dark Knight Rises as well. We'll take a look at those in a second. This is the new table we'll be playing on. A little bit different than normal, not going to have any buildings, just to see how that kind of changes the state of play. Grapples are going to be less useful for, well, vertical distance at least. Just if it changes the gameplay flow too much, then we'll add some buildings for next time. But just as a change of pace, trying out kind of like a construction site that's unearthing something, and we'll see how that plays. Let's take a look at the crews. So we've got ourselves a very gun-focused Brave and the Bold crew here, being led by Nightmare Batman, the Ben Affleck one from the fantasy slash nightmare, where Superman rules the world evilly. This Batman is A-OK with murdering people, hence that he is equipped with an assault rifle and a pistol, so he is full murder all the time. Should be interesting to have a Batman like that fielding. Then we have as his sidekick from the Dark Knight Rises releases, Harvey Dent the White Knight. He doesn't really do much, he provides a little bit of extra funding for some upgrades that we'll go over in a second. And then henchman, John Diggle, with... he has some upgrades, hang on, I'm going to have to check the notes. And then also as a free agent we have Red Hood. So not many models, lots of guns though, and lots of methods to kill people. Where is that note? There it is. So Red Hood has deadly weapons and a hidden magazine, so silencer on his guns and +1 max ammunition. Batman has the upgraded batsuit for +1 endurance, and John Diggle has a magazine and handcuffs. Okay, that's it for the Brave and the Bold. Let's have a look at the Joker crew. So here we have the Joker crew, largely comprised of the Why So Serious box release as part of the Dark Knight Rises slash the Dark Knight releases. So this is the Heath Ledger Joker, backed up by his clowns that do the bank job at the start. He has two free agents, Harvey Dent Two-Face from the same movie, and then also, just so there's less clowns on the field that don't match the visual style of these lot, we have Scarecrow. If you wanted to, you could easily field, well, 8 armed with guns clowns. If you took away a couple of the gun ones, because they're all armed, you could easily have like 10, a total horde army. This is a pretty cheap Joker as well, but he has a gun, he can make one of his henchmen explode if he wants. Should be fun. Anyway, so that's the crew, no extra gear because all their funding is on guns. We will be back with deployment and setup. We're going to be playing Scenario 1, Arrival, today, which is all the objectives in a 12x12 box in the middle of the battlefield, with a 12x12 diagonal on opposite corners for each crew. The 2 bonus victory points on offer are 3 victory points to the first person to control 2 of their own objectives, or 1 for each player if it happens in the same battle round, and 1 victory point to the first person to make an enemy model KO or removed as a casualty. And at deployment we have the Brave and the Bold crew right down here in the corner with one of the lampposts. Didn't go over what objectives, but they're all in the centre, so we're just going to cover them in a second. Got a lamppost here, another Cerna lamp over here, lamp, and then we have the very busy middle with 1 sewer. So the Brave and the Bold have the Wayne Tech, the Ace Chemicals, and Loot. And then the Joker crew has contraband, ammo, and riddles. And over here we have 2 more sewers. Scarecrow is not in his deployment because he has undercover, so he can move up to 8 away from the deployment zone before the start of the match. He's out of sight though. And I guess the crew came in on the helicopter, the Joker crew. 3 of them there with Joker and a couple of his cronies. They all have very strange names. Kind of like the 7 Dwarfs almost. So I haven't memorised them yet, so apologies for that. And then Two-Face and 2 more clowns over there. So now we come over to the bag to see who is going to go first. Green for Joker, pink for Brave and the Bold. Brave and the Bold it shall be. So with the Brave and Bold's first activation for Battle Round 1, Harvey Dent the White Knight activated, and he used a special to inspire the rest of the team, which gives them 1 free action counter to assign to movement, defense, attack, or special. They all put them into movement, for the record. He doesn't get the benefit though. He then just kind of shuffled up. He's mostly just there for the extra funding and to claim an objective more than anything else. He is making distance towards the Wayne Tech that the Brave and the Bold own there. So that's how they got started. Forgot to point out earlier, but obviously with the discrepancy in number of models, the Brave and the Bold do have a lot of passes, so if that ever happens we'll just kind of put the clown turns in together. So due to some passes being used, we have a few Joker activations to cover. First of all, Grumpy, I think his name is. He is equipped with a grapple gun that he can use in combat as well. So he started over there in deployment, he grappled across, moved around, and then manipulated the riddle. He got a 5, so that's 2 victory points to the Joker crew. As the pass was used. Then Scarecrow walked around the corner here. He has scientific, so he automatically solves riddles for 2 victory points. So that's another 2 victory points for the Joker crew. And then finally, the Joker himself kind of followed on behind Scarecrow there off on his own, and no more passes can be used in a row, so the Brave and the Bold has to do something else now in retort. So for the Brave and the Bold, next, Red Hood activated him with the help of that extra movement counter on top of his already high maximum of 4, I think. He made a lot of distance and went all the way over here to claim the Race Chemicals vat and manipulate it and crouch down behind it. So his next... I don't know if it counts ranged attacks, but his next attack has the poison special rule. Whether or not that applies to ranged, need to double check that. But he's now claiming that, and will do if no one can contest, and at this range I don't think they will. The Brave and the Bold have one more pass they can use, but either way it's over to Joker's side first. A small amendment for this gentleman here. This is Joker's bus driver, and he has a special rule, timely arrival. He is not to be deployed in Battle Round 1. Luckily we spotted that just now. So he's not actually supposed to be on the field, which also means there's a discrepancy of 1 between the maximum sizes of crews for now. He arrives anywhere on the board, I think there's some rules about how close he can be to anything, at the start of Battle Round 2. So he's being removed for now. It's still Joker's activation next. So next for the Joker crew, Two-Face activated, perhaps eager to fight his better self, and he rushed up behind this the vehicle here, relatively close to the Red Hood over there. Apologies for the sunlight shining in. One of these days I'm going to have to get proper like stand lights for battle reports. But anyway, he crouched and he is now behind there. Now because of Joker's bus driver no longer being on the field, the Brave and the Bold only have 2 passes because of difference in number of models. So they were going to use a pass, they can't now, they have to go. John Diggle activated next, and he has moved up over here to the opposite side of this little bit of ruined building here next to Harvey Dent. He is in the lamppost, but there's nobody with guns on this side of the table, so he should hopefully be fine. Chuckles activated for the Joker crew. In retort, and just a quick activation, he's moving up behind Harvey Dent, or sorry, Two-Face, I guess, to distinguish between the two of them, to back him up. So now we're back over to Batman, and then there's one clown left for Joker Grumpy, I think. I forget which one. Yeah, I think it is Grumpy. So for the final activation for the Brave and the Bold in Battle Round 1, Batman backclawed his way to the left of Harvey Dent. He is in contact and manipulated the Wayne Tech. You don't get to decide what that is until the end of the battle round though, so we'll be doing that in a second. His assault rifle is assault 2, so he can shoot it twice, or rather he gets a 2 rate of fire if he shoots even after moving. He shot at Scarecrow through here. Pings failed him, so Scarecrow took 2 blood and got knocked down. Otherwise fine though, I think it's endurance 7 or whatever. This is the Scarecrow that has Charmed, but as we know from last time, Charmed or Charming, whatever it's called, only affects physical attacks, not ranged attacks. So, first little bit of blood drawn there. Let's see how Joker's ending this turn. So for Joker's final activation of Battle Round 1, Chuckles, with his bag of cash and pistol, is beelining straight for the ammo there. I see one of Sora's hairs. I worked out why they get onto the table even though she's no longer molting, incidentally. It's because when I'm sitting in my office chair and I throw stuff for her, it passes over this table and probably blankets it with accumulated hairs on the toys. That's neither here nor there, but just thought I'd share. Anyway, so now we're back with the recap of Battle Round 1. So as things stand at the end of Battle Round 1, the Joker crew accumulated 4 victory points from solving 2 riddles. The Brave and the Bold got 1 victory point for holding these chemicals, and we did double check, and it's close combat only that gets the poison special rule. And they hold the Wayne Tech, which gives 2 victory points set. It's just the result of activating it that's randomised. And Batman got himself a grapple gun, which he already has, so a relevant result really, unfortunately. It gives you a random table of gear that's 1 use only. Grapple gun is considered the best result. Would have loved anything else for him, honestly, but hopefully someone else can make use of it next time. So as things stand, there's no stun damage. Battle Round 2 is going to be exceptionally bloody. I think the Brave and the Bold will be wanting first activation here, but let's see who it will actually be. It will be Joker in Battle Round 2. Before we get started into Battle Round 2 proper, a couple of things to go over, including the timely arrival of Joker's bus driver. At the end of the first battle round, The Brave and the Bold held 2 of their objectives, and although they were removed after solving, technically the Joker's crew also held 2 riddles. So as far as we can tell, that means one of the scenario objectives has been met, and because both teams, or both crews rather, made it in the same turn, that's 1 bonus victory point each, rather than one team getting 4. The bus driver has opted to arrive. He just needs to be at least 4 inches away from any enemy or objective. He's chosen to be a little bit further away so he has an escape plan. But it looks to me like he might be planning on shooting Red Hood. Let's see as we move into the first activation of Battle Round 2. So Joker's bus driver did indeed activate. He shot his shotgun into Red Hood's back. He only gets 1 rate of fire, so he missed, unfortunately. He was going to stick around because he has the expendable rule. The expendable rule specifically says a model with the rule does not give up victory points for being knocked out. However, it doesn't mention anything about being made a casualty, so presumably casualty victory points still apply. So with that in mind, he did decide to flee through the sewer grating. And he is over here, safe and sound. In the Bold, the first activation in Battle Round 2 was Batman himself using his last shot with his assault rifle. Full rate of fire this time because he stood still. He shot at the knocked over Scarecrow. Didn't do too well on his hit rolls again, sadly, so only 2 blood through, although that does put Scarecrow 2 endurance away from death, and he hasn't had the chance to stand up again yet. He then moved away from the Wayne Tech and crouched behind the little JCB thing here, unearthing something that mysteriously looks like something from 40k in the centre of the map. So now we're back over to Joker. To save himself, Scarecrow activated next. He stood up and used his fear gas spray, which uses a template. Luckily the clown there was too far to the side not to get hit, so Batman was the only person covered by it. The hit landed, however the wound roll did not, so he is fine. Scarecrow, knowing that he is kind of close to death, decided the best bet would be to back off given how many guns are in play, so he's fallen back just a little bit behind there for now. So it should have been the Brave and the Bold's next activation, however 2 passes were used, so to quickly cover a couple of Joker crew turns, the grapple gun using Clown moved up to the contraband, manipulated it, haven't done the result yet. He shot his grapple at Batman, however ping roll spared him from any damage. Grumpy moved up to claim the ammo. He shot just once because he moved at Batman as well, and once again ping roll saved him thanks to the +1 for crouching at the end of his activation as well. Brave and the Bold have to activate now, so let's see what they do. John Diggle activated next and went round the corner here. He opted not to shoot his pistol at rate of fire 1 and instead used his taser, which has reach, so he only needs to be within 2 inches, so that's kind of 2 inches right there. He used his taser on the grapple wielding clown heistman there. Did only 4 stun, and I say only because that henchman has 5 endurance, so was hoping to stop him from claiming the contraband. Sadly he is still up with 1 endurance remaining. The Joker activated next and moved up, approaching the brawl that's happening in the middle. He was going to use Henchman Bomb on the clown here that's heavily wounded. However, thanks to John using a weapon with reach, the template would not have covered him, so therefore did not. He opted instead to just fire 1 shot from his gun at John Diggle, and he missed with it. His gun can be fired 4 times though, so it's not too much of a waste. Now it would be the Brave and the Bold. We'll see if they're going to activate or instead use their final pass. A couple of activations was a tale of 2 Harveys. The final pass for the Brave and the Bold was used, so Two-Face Harvey opted to come round here a little bit. He's still obscured by the wall, so he can't see the Red Hood right now, didn't take a shot or anything like that. Brave and the Bold had to activate next, so the good Harvey Dent moved into contact and manipulated the Wayne Tech. We'll find out at the end of the battle round what gear he gets, but at least he's claiming it regardless for 2 victory points. So it's back over to Joker's crew now. He has 1 clown remaining, yes, him behind there, and also Red Hood still has to go for the Brave and the Bold. So for the final 2 activations of Battle Round 2, Chuckles activated and he moved from behind here all the way over there. He only gets 1 shot with his SMG, so he didn't want to waste it on a single bullet, so he just crouched behind there. Red Hood opted to stay where he was to claim points for the Ace Chemicals. His pistols are short range, but he was within range to shoot at whichever one this was again. He was totally grumpy. Well, he's more grumpy now. He suffered 2 blood, 2 stun and a knockdown result. These clowns are a lot sturdier than the Arkham Asylum Joker. They have 5 endurance, so he has 1 endurance remaining. He's no longer claiming the ammo because he's knocked down, I think. Need to double check that. But he is alive, although he is expendable anyway, so he'd have to die. And because he didn't get knocked out, the Red Hood couldn't just execute him, unfortunately. So he opted to stand still after that, and that takes us to the recap for the turn. So at the end of Battle Round 2, the Brave and the Bold gained 1 victory point for holding the Ace Chemicals, 2 victory points for holding the Wayne Tech, which also has given Harvey Dent power armor, as funnily as that is. He has a power armor suit for Battle Round 3, and then it's gone. The Joker crew have the Contraband, which is variable. This time they got just 2 victory points, and 1 model in base contact gets +1 to hit and damage rolls next turn, because it's like, look at this weapon as the reward. So the one with the SMG that hasn't fired yet is the one who's taking advantage of that. Check the rules, and apparently it only says knocked out models can't contest or claim objectives, nothing about being knocked down, so Joker gets the 3 victory points for holding the ammo as well, putting them out into the lead. Let us head over to the bag and see that it is the Brave and the Bold going first in round 3. So to start off Battle Round 3, this Batman really showed what he's made of. He is very aggro. He leapt over the little bit of the whatever's being unearthed here into contact with the Contraband. He unleashed 5 reinforced glove physical attacks on this henchman because the SMG with +1 to hit and +1 damage was too risky to leave. He did an amazing 7 stun thanks to the collateral die, knocking him out in 1 fell blow. Also, this Batman has mixed combat style, so for 2 special counters he can also do a ranged attack. Presumably only allowed to shoot once, but once was enough. He put 1 blood, 1 stun, plus a bonus stun for the collateral die again into the grapple henchman and also knocked him out. So they're both knocked out. Now they're both expendable, so they don't give any victory points for being knocked out. They have to be killed. So nothing there. Obviously neither of them is claiming the Contraband now. Batman had nothing left to manipulate it though, so he's merely contesting it, but he did some good work there. Let's see how Joker reacts. For Joker's crew, Grumpy the Clown stood up because he was the one who was just knocked down, remember? Still in contact with the ammo, but he didn't manipulate it this turn because he has so few markers he can put thanks to how heavily wounded he is. Nevertheless, he shot his automatic pistol into Batman, and Batman was hit by it this time, took 1 blood, 1 stun, so that's... Keep in mind he has the +1 endurance, but he has now taken some damage. John Diggle activated next, and he moved over to the Contraband. He has the ability to arrest, because remember he bought handcuffs as part of the bonus funding equipment. That didn't leave him with any movement counters left to activate the Contrabands, unfortunately, but he did remove the Clown there, so he does give up a casualty for being a henchman made KO, even though he's expendable, because expendable just negates being knocked out. He then opted to shoot at the heavily wounded Clown over here. As you can see, he is still standing. That's because even with Master Marksman, John managed to miss twice. A 2 rerolled into a 1. Just imagine it's Season 6 him, I guess. Back over to Joker. A really effective activation for Joker himself this turn. He used his 1 game only use of Henchman Bomb on the henchman who was knocked out. Presumably it's okay to use it on a knocked out target. The Henchman Bomb roll didn't say otherwise, just said a friendly henchman. Remember, he was kind of lying there, but for the purposes of the game, he was in base to base with this, with Batman. It hit both Batman and John Diggle. Batman's Bat Armor MK2 negated the hit. John, however, took the full 3 blood. He has a Kevlar vest, so it got dropped down to 2. Joker wasn't happy with that, so he then pulled out his, as it turns out, pretty effective pistol and shot John. 1 more damage was negated again, thanks to the Kevlar vest. But in total, he took 5 blood, 4 stun. Obviously, the stun excess is irrelevant. He is knocked out, and he has, I think he has 7 endurance. So he's sitting on 5 blood, which could be enough to make him a casualty if someone goes up and coup de grace him. That's pretty devastating. But let's see what the Brave and the Bold do in response. So a couple more activations to cover. Harvey Dent, the White Knight, activated. He left the Contraband in order to go pick up the loot, feeling pretty comfortable with himself wearing power armor for a turn. So he has it. He obviously can't move back to the Wayne Tech this turn. I said Contraband, didn't I? My bad. So basically he's giving away 1 victory point, or giving up 1 victory point potential this battle round, with the hope of earning 3 from every turn onwards. Whether or not that's a good idea, we'll see. The bus driver activated next. He has pretty good movement. He can put 3 movement counters in. He came over here. He shot at John Diggle to try and finish him off. He managed to whiff on his wound roll, which still did the just a scratch, presumably, even though it's an attempt to be a coup de grace. And the way the coup de grace works is the first and only first stun marker accrued becomes a blood marker. So assuming that's done right, he now has 6 blood markers, but he's still 1 away from actually dying. Let's cover the last few activations of this turn. Scarecrow staying hidden because he's heavily wounded and has scientific, which will give up an extra victory point if he dies. Red Hood activated, came around the corner to take on Two-Face, managed to whiff spectacularly with 3 out of his 4 attempts to attack. The last one was blocked by 2 defense dice that Two-Face had. In return, Two-Face isn't exactly a martial artist. Took 2 swings at Red Hood, did nothing, opted to stay in base to base, just because he had no movement counters to really flee anywhere. So that's it for Battle Round 3, we'll be back with the recap and recovery. So at the end of Battle Round 3, here's how the point gains stand. The Joker crew knocked out a henchman for 1 victory point. They hold the ammo for 3 victory points. The Brave and the Bold, I checked the rules for contraband, it's actually variable to the person who controls it, not who manipulates it. So Batman does indeed control it. Rolled got a 2, which is nothing happened, no penalty, but also no victory points gained, sadly. Harvey generated 1 for having the loot, but that is... Oh, and of course, even though Joker killed one of them himself, Joker killed a henchman and John Diggle arrested a henchman, so that's 2 victory points gained there. Let us go over to the bag and see who will be getting first turn in Battle Round 4. It will be Joker. Here we go. So to start Battle Round 4, Joker's bus driver moved up to claim the Ace Chemicals that doesn't belong to them. Didn't manipulate it though, so he doesn't have poisoned. He shot his final shot from his shotgun into Harvey Dent the White Knight and did 2 stun, 1 blood with that. This Harvey has 7 HP, so nearing half HP total, but is otherwise okay, and now this henchman doesn't pose much of a threat. Batman chose to activate next and moved into contact to contest the ammo and attacked the clown there. Did 3 stun to him, coupled with the 2 blood 2 stun he already had on him. He is now unconscious. He's also expendable though, so doesn't give any victory points for that, but does at least negate gaining 3 for the ammo. He then used mixed combat style to shoot his last pistol shot at the Joker and missed entirely. So Batman is also out of ammo now, which is going to be a recurring problem. He didn't have anything left to manipulate the ammo, incidentally, but he might do next turn. Let's move on. Joker activated next, and he did want to shoot at Harvey, but his pistol's short range, so he couldn't quite get in there. He doesn't like schemers, he wanted to shoot a schemer, but unfortunately he couldn't reach him, so instead he opted to shoot perhaps an unnecessary number of bullets at a man who's unconscious on the floor. He killed John Diggle, so John Diggle was a casualty, giving him a victory point. He opted to stay where he was for now, because he didn't have anything left for movement, and he's just kind of seeing what happens next. A couple of activations for the tussle that was going on down here. Red Hood activated and attacked Two-Face with just close combat dual pistols. Did 3 stun to him because he whiffed again quite badly. Two-Face activated, did nothing to Red Hood, and then opted to flee this way purely because he doesn't want Batman to try and catch up with him, who might be more effective at actually taking him down. Two-Face has 7 endurance, I think. Yes. So again, much like the other Harvey, he's hurt, but he's doing okay. So now the good Harvey Dent has to go. Then I think it's just Scarecrow for the Joker, and then yeah, a lot of people have died. So before we go into the recap for this turn, here's the last couple activations. The good Harvey Dent moved back into contact with the Wayne Tech and activated it. We'll see what he has during the recap. Scarecrow opted to be a little bit braver just to try and secure some more victory points for Joker. So he moved into contact with the contraband. Well, again, we'll see during the recovery phase what the result there is. Even if it's the bad result, he won't go down because he has 2 HP left. So I think that covers everybody. Let's go on to the recovery and recap. So at the end of Battle Round 4, here's how things stand victory point wise. The Joker crew made a henchman a casualty for 1 victory point. The contraband got them 2 victory points for Scarecrow activating it, and also he has +1 hit and damage next round. The Brave and the Bold have the Wayne Tech, which has given Harvey a disruptor, and they have the loot, which Harvey is also holding, for an additional 1. And they knocked out a henchman as well, but the henchman doesn't give anything because he's expendable. Worth noting, Ace Chemicals can only give points to its owner, as can the ammo, so neither of those generated any. It was mostly just about making sure they couldn't give points. So all that's left now is to see who is going first in turn 5. It's Joker's crew. So to open Battle Round 5, Two-Face activated, shot his revolver at Harvey Dent, as confusing as that sentence is, did 1 blood 1 stun to him, and then he moved into contact with Ace Chemicals, not because he can claim it, but he can contest it, and he wanted to be out of line of sight from Red Hood, so he couldn't just shoot him at full rate of fire. So pretty effective use of his turn. Anyway, over to the Brave and the Bold for what's going to be a quick turn in total, I think. Another very effective activation for Nightmare Batman. He manipulated the ammo to get a magazine for his assault rifle. He moved into contact with Scarecrow and unleashed his barrage of punches with his reinforced gloves, did an amazing 7 stun again, so Scarecrow is knocked out. He then activated mixed combat style for 2 special, shot his assault rifle, which is assault 3, which is why he reloaded that, at the shotgun bus driver and did 6 blood to him, making him a casualty. So he is expendable, but because he's a casualty he now does give up a victory point. Pretty nasty Batman. Back over to Joker's dwindling numbers now. So with no one else to activate, Joker activated and moved into contact with the Batman. Worth pointing out, we totally forgot a rule this Joker has called They're Cheap. He activates it only once per game at the start of a round, and for that round everybody can fire once for free. As far as things that would have made a difference potentially, might have activated the bus driver sooner so he could get a shotgun shot off. Whether or not that would have made any difference in the long term, I don't think it would have, but just pointing out something that was done wrong. Anyway, he took his knife out and sliced at Batman. Missed pretty badly. The one hit that got through was negated by his bat armor, so he is contesting the contraband now, but was ineffective in combat. So Red Hood finally chased after Two-Face, and he has just been terrible the whole game, just rolling so badly. 3 2s on his attempts to attack this turn, so no damage to Two-Face. That is it for the battle round, as the only surviving henchman for Joker is unconscious, Scarecrow's unconscious. Harvey's just staying put on the contraband, so we'll be back with recovery and recap. So as things stand at the end of Battle Round 5, haven't really been remembering to mention the recoveries, but the important one here is that Scarecrow has woken up, so he will be alive in the final battle round. The other henchman Clown did not wake up. As far as objective points gained, a little bit thin on the ground, the Joker crew earned nothing that turn. The Brave and the Bold got 2 victory points for the Wayne Tech, which once again gave a disruptor to Harvey Dent, and 1 for the loot that Harvey is carrying. That is everything. We know the Brave and the Bold are getting the first activation on the final turn of the game. There's the icon there. So let's move on and see what happens. So to get started on the final battle round, Red Hood hopped over just so he's contesting the Ace Chemicals on the off chance he could actually take out Two-Face. Should have known better given how he's been doing this game though, he did absolutely nothing. He's holding the Ace Chemicals. If Two-Face moves away he'll be controlling it, but honestly Two-Face is still probably going to, because he can negate 2 by contesting that. Well, we'll see what happens. Scarecrow activated next. He stood up and took a swing at Nightmare Batman with his scythe. Only managed to do 2 blood, which is unfortunate. Might make a difference, who knows. He's a low priority target now though, because he's already given up points for being knocked out once, and Batman has no ammo left to do blood damage, so he's pretty safe where he is, but wanted to do more. So to recap the final activations, nothing was done here on any side. Batman was unable to wound the Joker was unable to wound Batman. Because of the order of activations, Harvey just had to stand still, and then Two-Face came over to him and contested the contraband. So as nice as it would have been to see him fight himself, essentially, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So we'll be back with the recap for the final battle round and then the final score as well. So at the end of a fun game, it was interesting playing without buildings and a lot of tall areas for certain characters to hide in. I don't know if it changed the timbre or the flow of how the match went. Because we had the mission where everything is in the middle, that kind of dictated the way it played out, more so than there being buildings, I feel, but could be wrong. By all means leave some feedback regarding a slightly different looking type of table. In terms of victory points gained in the final turn, the Brave and the Bold got 1 for the loot and 1 for Ace Chemicals, and that's it. Joker's crew got nothing in that particular turn. So the final tallies, as they stand, is that the Joker crew have 17 victory points, the Brave and the Bold have 23 victory points. So a victory for the Brave and the Bold. The Why So Serious Joker is pretty deadly if he gets to use his gun, which is fun. His henchmen all being expendable is very interesting, and they're all heavily armed as well. Ammo count was a bit low, might have made a difference for getting his rule about getting to shoot for free once per game for everyone in his crew. The other thing to point out is Two-Face specifically has dirty fire, so in the one battle round where he took swings at Red Hood, he could have actually shot his pistol. Red Hood himself has a ballistic vest though, which makes it much harder for firearms to hurt. It's a 5+ instead of a 2+, so if honestly, probably still would have just thrown his punches at Red Hood regardless. The only other thing that mattered that I think we missed, Two-Face has rapid fire on his pistol as well, which improves the rate of fire by 1. The only time he shot it was when he stood still, I think. But he wouldn't have needed to stand still, is the thing. So whether that would have made any difference in the long run, not sure. That was fun though. We will be eventually seeing the Dark Knight Rises starter sets once they're painted. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, as I said at the top, for the support on these. I know it's a small but dedicated fan base for the Batman miniature game. I hope you'll continue watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta for now.